Oh, that's nice. And given the theme our Toastmaster set, I got some assistance for our Pledge of Allegiance. So if you could all stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Our Toastmaster tonight is Evan Nestori, our president.
I just said in sign language, hello, how are you? How is your day? My name is Evan Nestori, and I am very excited to be your Toastmaster today and teach you sign language. To say Toastmaster, it's Toastmaster, there's a few. Let's talk about the history. Sign gestures itself, from the very beginning, came in BC Greece, the 5th century, and the idea came from Socrates, or as Bill and Ted would say, Socrates, by thinking we should communicate with our body and hands. He said, if we hadn't had a voice or a tongue and wanted to express things to one another, when we try to make signs by moving our hands, heads, and rest our body, just as dumb people do at present. When I just did this, that's how deaf people clap. A number of religious orders in Europe in the 10th century and the Middle Ages used monistic sign language. It was really sign languages. It was the beginning of gestural communication. It is told that prior to 1492, Native American communities used an extensive lingua franca. Lingua franca means a language that has been made to systematically communicate with groups that don't speak the native language or dialect. These communities did use trade and ceremonies, storytelling, and communication by deaf people. They say deaf in sign language. These languages were very complex, and ethnographer Kabaza Divaka saw that these groups of Native Americans could communicate and were conducted to sign. The first ever reference was concrete reference from a deaf man named Thomas Tilzai in 1775. I just said man, they say man. The deaf community had used descendants of British Sign Language of their former British colonies of India, Australia, New Zealand, Uganda, and South Africa. They also used the republics and province of former Germany, Norway, and Yugoslavia. And we will come back to that shortly. We have two awesome speakers today. First speaker is Matt Stroop, and our other speaker dropped out today. Therefore, we will have Paul Murdoch speaking today. And let us introduce our evaluation team. Our grammarian of the day is Tristan Eamon. Looks like our word of the day is right there, and looks like a Tristaning word right there.
The word is unspoken.
What does that mean? I think we all know what it means.
The unspoken is the not spoken language, the not spoken features or things that comes out of your mouth.
And sign language is that language. Thank you, Mr. Grammarian. Our out counter is Gina Lemon. Our rear joke master is Dwayne Martins. Table topic master, favorite part, is Julie Baker. Listening master is Walker. General editor was Carl. Now it is me. Evaluator 1 is Mark Sizer. Evaluator 2 is Barton. And our timer is, I forgot your name. What's your name?
Christine.
Christine, welcome. Our first speaker is working on Pathways Level 1. Project Speak with Purpose is entitled 2 Dreadful Scary Words, How to Keep Yourself Safe. 5 to 7 minutes long. Please welcome Matt Stroop.
Thank you all for your attention. I'm going to use the whiteboard as my prop or my speech. The two dreadfully scary words that I'm going to talk about tonight should probably never be put in the same sentence. School shooter. Very serious topic. We were having fun until I just wrote that up on the board. When I say the word school shooter, what comes to your mind? Yes, it's usually the first one that pops in most folks' minds. Why would Columbine fall into your thoughts? It really did. Yeah, the event in Columbine happened in 1999. It was the first school shooting that was televised in real time. Was it really the first school shooting? No, and unfortunately, when we talk about school shooters, we're talking about a group of people in an area, basically a soft target. We have someone that has, for whatever reason, an issue, an axe to grind. They want to send a message. They want the biggest, pardon me for this phrase, bang for the buck, and they want to send out the largest psychological impact with their event, their choice to perpetrate this unfortunate situation. And Columbine is the state flower of Colorado. It is a beautiful area, and it's a nice town. It's a beautiful area in Colorado. And it is the name of the high school where this occurred. Columbine was perpetrated by two young men. I struggle to say their names. When you do research on this, and I've given several talks in regards to this topic, Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold, they were two young men, seniors in their class at the high school. They were perpetrated and portrayed as left out of the popular portion of school. They were part of what they called themselves. Their group was the Trenchcoat Mafia, and much was made in regards to that name that they had given their group. This group was a group of males in the school. It really wasn't what it was perpetrated to be. The guys all called themselves the Trenchcoat Mafia. It was a group that they belonged to. It wasn't a nefarious, intending group per se. They were actually rather popular in their class. Dylan Klebold, he went to prom the weekend before they had perpetrated their event. They actually, most people think it's a school shooting. It was actually a failed bombing. That morning they showed up with two bombs in duffel bags, and they placed them inside the cafeteria at opposite ends of the cafeteria, hoping to cause a huge explosion and bring the floor of the building above the cafeteria down on everyone. And their plan was to stand outside both of the exits and shoot everyone as they exited, those that tried to flee from the bombing. The bombs were made at home. They were rudimentary. They were improvised explosive devices. They were LP tanks that you might use in your barbecue pit or your barbecue grill, at home, and they had ignition devices with them. Neither one of them went off, and they had left the cafeteria, went out and sat in their cars, and when their bombs or improvised explosive devices didn't go off, they went back in, and their plan initially was for Eric Harris to go in one door and Dylan to go in another door, and the two of them to perpetrate as much destruction and death as they possibly could. When the bombs didn't go off, both of them went in the same door, and at this point, authorities surmised that it was probably Eric Harris that talked Dylan Klebold into going in just the one door and perpetrating the destruction that they did. They ended up killing a dozen students and one teacher, 13 total, which is incredibly unfortunate. The number of victims that could have been killed in the event was much, much more than what they actually did perpetrate. They moved through the school and they ended up upstairs in the library. Back in the day in 1999, the theory of law enforcement, fire, EMS was for the first in officer there to sequester the area and perpetrate or help everyone get out of the building and call SWAT. And now what law enforcement does is have the first in officer go in and try and find the perpetrator. They actually go towards the shooting, and then subsequent officers do the same. And then they have fire and EMS come in behind them, and they will have a law enforcement escort, and they will go in and try and, first of all, the cops are trying to stop the killing, and then they have EMS and ambulance services with fire go in with law enforcement escort, and they try and stop the bleeding and the dying. 25 to 40% of victims are viable after the initial assault. So that's why we have changed our approach and our methodology. What you can do to keep yourself safe, if you think about it, we are possible victims anywhere we are. If you're at school, at a restaurant, maybe you're at a library, at a Toastmasters meeting on a Wednesday afternoon, maybe there's somebody that has an axe to grind, or if you're having a psychotic break, you just never know. So what you can do to keep yourself safe is, how many of you are CPR and first aid certified? Great, love that. That's the first step. You can have a first aid kit. You can have the tourniquets and use of gauze. I'm going to pass this around. You can all take a look at that. Here's a couple of tourniquets. And if you go and take a class, you can learn how to properly use these and put them on. Just so you all know, if you ever use a tourniquet like this, go ahead and try and put it on the upper leg or the upper arm, not on the lower arm or the lower leg. Even if the injury, say it's a stab wound or a bullet wound, if it were, most classes teach about 4 inches to 6 inches above the injury. And now if you go all the way up, you can actually stop the bleeding, because you have one bone up here and you have 2 bones down here in the bleeding can happen between the bones. Same in the lower leg. I'm going to pass these around. You should not store your tourniquets like this. You should go ahead and open them up and prep them so that they are ready to be used. You can also use the old tried and true triangular bandage as a tourniquet. Both are all good. So that being said, unfortunately, we have to talk about these topics. Some things like school shooters and school shootings, active threat, and mass casualty incidents. I hope none of you ever have to experience a certain situation. But please go out there, take a CPR class, take a first aid class, and put together your first aid. Any questions?
Pathways, this next speaker is going to be speaking on pathways. Presentation Mastery Level 1, it will be 5 to 7 minutes. Whether a casual one-on-one conversation or speech to a group of 100, effective communications is the key to success for everyone. Today, Carl will talk with us about effective communications and how Toastmasters is an important part of helping each of us to improve our communication skills. Carl is presenting his first speech in the Level 1 evaluation and feedback presentation, utilizing a 5 to 7 minute speech on the importance of developing a good communication skills. Please join me in welcoming Carl as he presents Communications. Got that simple.
Mr. Toastmaster, you need to sit for this. Andrea, if you would like to participate too, you may. Thank you, Mr. Sergeant at Arms. I joined Toastmasters to become a better communicator. I got $5. It probably says many of you joined Toastmasters for that same thing, to be a better communicator. Fellow Toastmasters and honored guests, so what's the big deal? I talk, you listen, we communicate. As I will demonstrate today in my presentation, effective communications is not that simple. This is where experience and growth in Toastmasters can help you develop your communication skills. So we are going to do a little bit of a game today. So are you a good communicator? Do you listen critically? I don't see any problems, but we're going to do a little demonstration today. So everybody listen to the rules. Each of you has received a piece of paper. That is your tool for today. Again, during the exercise, I want you to close your eyes and no peeking, and you will follow my instructions. So grab your piece of paper. Sorry, Debbie, you can't take notes, right?
You might be surprised.
So, everybody grab your piece of paper, close your eyes. Now, fold that piece of paper in half. Please tear off the upper right hand corner. Now fold your paper in half again, please. Now, if you would, please tear off the lower right hand corner of that paper. And one more time, please fold that piece of paper in half. Now this time I would like you to tear off the upper left hand corner.
Not winter, we should be making snowflakes.
Last snow of the season.
Right. You may now unfold your piece of paper, open your eyes, hold up your piece of paper and compare those to everybody else in the room. Now, everybody's looks exactly the same.
Mine's fine now.
What happened? Wasn't I clear? Didn't I enunciate? Didn't I use proper grammar? What happened? Look, they should all be the same. If we are all given the same instructions, I should have communicated very well with you folks. So how would Toastmasters have helped us in this exercise? Let's think about that. Did we listen carefully? No, all of you did listen carefully, but in Toastmasters, you will learn to be a better, effective listener. So we want to listen attentively. We want to be impartial when we listen, but all of you did a good job. But look what the heck you ended up with. It wasn't there. The other part of communication that we do learn in Toastmasters is the unspoken word. You got that word of the day in. There is something that they talk about in communications. It is the 55-38-7 rule. 38% is our tone and our voice. So you all heard me fairly well, but we still didn't communicate. So we want to make sure we do that. Now, I could have been a little better when talking about that, starting out by saying, hold your paper vertically or horizontally, fold it from top to bottom. My instructions could have been a little clearer. But again, we have the unspoken, our posture, our gestures, if I was also demonstrating that and you could visually see that, 55% of my communications, that body language, we would have all turned out the same. My vocal variety is very, very important. When we are listening in Toastmasters, again, this is something you will learn to communicate our vocal variety, emphasizing certain points, slowing things down, speaking clearly. All of those are important. And finally, know your audience. If I'm a doctor giving advice to fourth graders, I'm not going to use technical language and doctor speak, just communicate. All of these things are important in Toastmasters. In summarizing, don't take communications for granted. Please know that you have only 7% of your written word or your spoken word is part of that communications. Make a commitment. Communications is not that easy. Pathways in the Toastmasters program will help us all improve. Mr. Toastmaster.
Aristotle believed that mutism and lack of intelligence was connected with deafness, and Roman law codified that. That means the deaf were capable of having education. Bishop of York, John Beverley, taught a deaf person to speak in 685 AD. That was phenomenal, and he became canonized later. American Sign Language in ASL began in the 19th century in 1817 in the American School for the Deaf in Hartford, Connecticut, founded by Thomas Gallard and Lord Clerk, and was influenced by French Sign Language. That was when deaf education was first introduced in the US. ASL is widely used for the deaf communities in most Anglophone English-speaking Canada and for some parts of West Africa and Southeast Asia. Sign language is used by 25 to 40% of deaf people. I became fascinated with sign language when I saw deaf actor Troy Kutzer and deaf actress Marley Matlin use it, and I thought, that looks fun to learn. I did like it from a young age as well. Here's some of what I know currently. Have a nice day. Can I help you? My name is Beautiful Girl, and I love you. Now, I wonder if we are going to hear another story about sign language. Please welcome our reader joke master, Wayne Martins.
No, you will not be hearing about sign language. I was already in town, and I was asked if I could be reader joke master. So I was waiting for my oil to be changed. I like this site called Laughter is the Best Medicine. So I'm just going to read a few of those. Finally went on a date. Everything was great till she asked me, boxers or brief? I said, depends. And she laughed. It's true that exercise helps with decision making. I went for a run this morning and decided to never do that again. I told a joke on a Zoom meeting and nobody laughed. Turns out I'm not even remotely funny. Just blocked somebody for this could be me so easy. Just blocked somebody for correcting my grammar, and it felt great. FEELEDGRATE. I always do my best spell checking after I already send the text. I don't know if that happens to you or not. I tried calling the library to make reservations, but they said they were completely booked. I had a date last night. It was perfect. Tomorrow I will try a grape. And then I've just bought a year membership for my gym, and now my bank is calling me to see if my credit card was stolen. And then I have two that I took pictures of. The first one is, I just read that 4,153,237 people got married last year. Not to cause any trouble, but shouldn't that be an even number? And then dating in your 40s is trying to find that least damaged thing at a resale shop. And then the last thing is riding my bumper does not make me speed up. It makes me want to test your insurance policy.
Please welcome for great questions our table topics master, Julie Baker.
Okay, anyone who's ever done table topics, this is very hard subject to do table topics on.
If only Michael was here.
If only Michael was here, yeah. Okay. All right. Okay, this one is going to Andrea.
Oh, she's gonna be voluntolding people.
Yes, I'm gonna be on. Okay,
Okay.
okay.
I think I'll
All right, do you know anything about sign language? And if so, can you please demonstrate?
Oh.
See, there's a reason for that.
Bravo. Thank you. I'm gonna step over here. Clever, clever. It has been 16 years since I've actually held a full conversation and actually done full sentences. So I may actually attempt this again as I have hands. Pledge allegiance. Flag. United States of America. And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, honoring God, not divisible, with liberty and justice for all. I hope that
Kristen. Communication involves hand gestures, facial expressions, and body language to convey a message, bridging the gap between the deaf and the hearing community. How would you greet a person who understands sign language?
Thank you for the question. First of all, I need to ask you a question regarding hand movements and sign language. How do you keep an Italian quiet? She ties her hands on the sides. My wife's Italian. She has to have her hands to talk. She's always talking with her hands. So, in that note, and in the spirit of our communication today, if I were to greet someone who was not able to speak in an unspoken way, I think it would be still similar to a very open face. We're kind of making sure that I meet their eyes, have my hands out, and just making sure that I am very safely just kind of saying hi in a very pleasant way without making it sound like you're going, "Hi, how are you?" I think I would respect them to know that they would understand I'm coming and saying hi. That's what most people are going to do. Don't need to overdo it with extra gestures or making them think that they are blind and deaf. Really, it's just
Communication comes in many forms. For instance, your body language, nonverbal cues tell a lot about how you are feeling. What was your name?
Brian.
Brian. Brian. Come on up here. What is your body language telling us at this moment?
Thank you, table topics masters. What is my body language? Very nervous because I haven't spoken at table topics or haven't done table topics in 5 years, 6 years. And I guess the most awkward thing, if somebody is deaf, it's uncomfortable for both people because you are trying to express yourself, and then they are already feeling a little uncomfortable because you're making them uncomfortable. And my favorite thing is making people uncomfortable.
Yes, that was great. Very good. That is what I have. This was a really interesting topic to try to come up with table topics. So excellent, everybody. Very good.
Julie, good job.
Thank you.
That was really good questions. Interesting. What answers from the ones who were up here? Great job. If you want to learn a second language, I really recommend sign language. It's very fun. A little easy. Now, is it fun? Yes. Can you get fluent in it quickly? No. It is hard. It takes a long time for any language for you to be fluent in. Any of you know sign language besides Andrea? Just a little. Just a little. Besides Andrea and I. And some of my favorite other stuff I learned are good morning, good afternoon, and good night. I will say this is Toastmasters right here. And this is to all of you. I love you. Thank you all very much. Now we shall move into our evaluation portion. I am the general evaluator right now. Let's see how. You know what that means. Please welcome our first evaluator, the dreaded Mark Sizer.
Just for the record, I never dread Mark actually being up there as general evaluator. It's usually when he's evaluating my speech.
Right.
Or if he's
Exactly.
doing the grammarian.
The grammarian
Oh, she's
is
worse.
worse. The was and the
He's over here writing things on
subjunctive
my
mood
sheet.
and-
He's basically over writing things down.
Great.
I hope you haven't started timing, because we haven't gotten to Matt yet. Thank you, Matt, for an unexpected and very good presentation. The standard checkpoints on this are, what did you excel at? And your research or your existing knowledge on the subject was very good. From a Toastmaster's perspective, you were very good with your hands, your audience, eye contact, and not getting trapped by the whiteboard. A lot of people, when they're using a board, whiteboard or chalkboard for their speech, they stand with their back to the audience and write on the board. And you avoided that trap. Good job with that. The one thing that occurred to me for you to work on, and I have no idea how, is time. But you kept that compact. There was not a lot of fluff in there to cut out. So I have no concrete suggestions on how, but you did go a bit over. Great first aid kit. Where does one get a decent first aid kit? Not those pieces of junk at Walmart with aspirin in them.
I can help you with that.
Okay.
Don't write that down.
And since I'm playing junior grammarian, the perpetrated to be should have been purported to be. That's the only grammar error I caught. The vocal variety was very, very good in places, and that's the most one can hope for, I think. The audience awareness, you expected, acknowledged, and handled all of us going, what? Very well. You knew what your audience was going to do. You knew what you were going to do in response. That's something that's difficult. Sometimes you expect to give a speech and everyone to just not react. We reacted. You handled it very well. The appears comfortable. You looked relaxed the whole time. You looked like you knew what you were talking about. You knew what you wanted to say, and you said it. Thank you very much for a good speech
And it's only your second. Just imagine what's coming next from him.
Now to evaluate Carl's speech and the lesson we learned, please welcome Debbie Barton.
Before the evaluation, I will say, my mother was a few miles away from Columbine, and sat down and watched. She had a massive heart attack and died. Anytime that comes up, I'm not, don't hold, keep it up, but this is just personal. It always brings back that day. No, we don't talk about the impact outside of the Columbine folks. And that's something that maybe his second speech can go into. Okay, now, I'm ready to be timed. Carl, I know that you had expressed once upon a time that you were an introvert, that getting up in front of a group was like pulling teeth from an elephant. And it has shown that you have gotten over some of that fear of being in front of a group. And you have excelled at getting information to everybody. You've also excelled at bringing demonstration into your topic. What a unique way of doing that. I could tell that some of us knew the placing of those corners and others took you literal. Your point of communication was excellent with that. You do use gestures, but sometimes they seem a little more forced or not as comfortable yet for you. And they seem to be about the same type all the time. And I know you were filling in, so this was a stop sign speech, excellent job, and good use of your pauses. The one thing you do tend to do is, I know you were doing the letter, but you like to do this movement more than using the entire stage. Since we don't have to worry about, well, except for the photographer back there, we don't have to worry about that as much. I would recommend, if you could, use the stage a little more effectively. You have great presence with that. The only other thing, though, in an unspoken manner, your tone and delivery is excellent. I would like to see a little more variety in voice. Yours is variety, but sometimes it becomes a little more monotonous toning that I know exactly where you're coming from. Surprise me sometime. Other than that, it's an excellent speech. Communications is incredibly difficult, and you proved your point. At least you didn't try to make us draw a square with our eyes closed, as my teacher did in high school.
Now let's see how we did. Were we on time or not? Write your name in the second. Write your name.
Christine.
Christine, please welcome Christine. You can get here, there, wherever.
So I'm obviously going to be new on names. So Matt is, we're a little over on your speech, 756. That's it. It was a tough topic and a lot of interactions. Speaker 2 was Carl, 655. And as a bonus, I timed our joke master, and that was Dwayne. Okay, you were at 224. Our evaluators, Mark. Where's Mark? Oh, right, I'm looking right at you. You're nodding at me. Your time was 227, and was it Debbie?
Yep.
Okay, Debbie, yours was 207. Our table topics, Andrea. Okay, 46 seconds. Tristan, you were at 111. Brian, you were at 30 seconds. Should I say thank you, Mr. General Evaluator?
You're good. You're good. Very good unspoken meeting as well. That was really fun. Now, let us turn to the grammarian. Please welcome Tristan.
Matt, I didn't hear a lot of bad verbiages used. So mostly talk about what was good. Matt, I like the largest psychological impact. I like the word perpetrated in nefarious, using very good words throughout that speech. You did use perpetrated quite a few times, however, so it kind of lost its funness after a while. Evan, you did have a word of the day at the end, so I'm not sure I really want to call it, but I think you just snuck it in there. Thank you for bringing it up so great. That was amazing. And you said so-and-so and I, not and me. Carl, a couple of words used. I like to listen critically. And I like the word, the phrase doctor speak. Dwayne, you got to work in your so's, man. Marie's got the word of the day. Very good. Debbie, only one word of the day? What's up with this? I don't know. Pulling teeth from an elephant. That was very descriptive.
You're the master word speaker.
I had a word of the day, and I love Brian's. The favorite thing he is making fun practicals. Thank you very much, everybody. Well done.
Next up for our counselor, please welcome Gina Lemon.
For our film words tonight, Evan, I heard one and, couple ums. Mike first, Mark, I just heard one Matt, I heard one and three ums and one so. Carl, I caught one so. Wayne, I wasn't listening quite as well as Tristan. I just caught a couple so's and one Kristen, I caught three ums. Ryan, I caught one and Marie, I caught one so. Mr. General Evaluator, back to you.
I mean, that's when deaf people cheer and sign up when they can't hear. Now, did we listen well? Please welcome our listening master, Dee Walker.
We had some unspoken language from Evan tonight, but the spoken part of it.
Oh, he's gonna win.
When did sign language first come around? First question I had.
1942.
Nope.
1700s.
1700s.
He was listening to the
Well,
first.
I had 500 BC. so
That's
I
right,
didn't
that's right.
I didn't listen.
I heard the same thing you did.
Oh, okay. Then how do you cheer with sign language? Oh, I didn't really like that.
We do that too.
And then when it comes to sign language, when did the American Sign Language?
Hartford, Connecticut.
Right, 1870.
18 something.
I was going to say that.
So with Matt's speech, what's the first word that pops into everybody's mind when you say school shooter?
Yeah.
And what year did that happen?
1999.
And what group did the two shooters belong to? According to Carl, with his speech, he said there's a rule, it's called the 55-38-7. What are the different percentages?
55 is visual, 38 is the tone, and 7 is the spoken word.
Yeah. And when we did the experiment where we had everybody trying to put the corners out, who followed the instructions properly? Everybody.
So they didn't do so well.
Then Dwayne got up and gave the joke of the day, or several jokes. What was his answer to the one joke? Boxers or briefs?
Yes.
And what does riding his bumper cause him to do? When Andrea got up and signed something, what did she sign?
Make you believe.
According to Tristan, how do you keep an Italian quiet?
Same.
I got a couple more here. How long has it been since Brian did tabletop?
5 or 6 years.
6 years.
And how many seconds was Marie up doing tabletop?
16.
16.
That's all I had. Thank you.
for all. Fantastic. I mean, very unspoken. It was fun. I enjoyed it.